Blaze's eyes are dark and challenging. They have you, quite literally, backed into a corner. But your parents' disgrace is the whole reason you're here. Let's see, what did they do? They embezzled money from the business. Gave me opportunities, but it got them in trouble. On the one hand, because they're Nigerian, I want to make, the joke, oh, they embezzled money, they had a telephone scam. They, did the whole chain email thing. But then again, I have STEM, so I'm just going to mention it and then say, pat myself on the back self-righteously. I'm not going to pick that one. No, they lost it in cards. Welcome back to the Unreal Press. If you're new, congrats, you found us. And if you're a long-time viewer, you'll also notice that we're not doing a podcast today. No, in fact, I'm doing something quite different. I'm going to be playing the award-winning choose-your-own-adventure game, Crème de la Crème, by Hannah Powell-Smith. And why, you ask, LA, have you deviated from your standard practice of binge drinking and ranting about inane topics to binge drink and rant about a set topic instead? I'll explain. Because, I've always enjoyed playing VNs and, CYOAs are pretty much the same thing. And, I thought, let's start off with a bang. Despite being, in my opinion, one of the best choose-your-own-adventure games, and it's not just my objective opinion talking, no, this is like serious fact. It actually won 3 IXI awards. And this isn't like a fuck-off Dustbin Town award either, no, this is against serious titles, Night Road, Disco Elysium. The best story games the internet has to offer, and Crème de la Crème pulls out on top in 2019 with Best Game, Best Writing, and Best Story. And despite all that, there's virtually nothing online about this game, which completely confuses me because it's a good game. It's got a pretty reliable story. It's not something incredibly niche. I mean, we all like pretending we're rich and fancy and, we get to do intrigue, but there's nothing. You're not going to find this on YouTube. You barely find this on Reddit. There was like one half-assed playthrough on a games forum. And there's nothing on 4chan either or similar sites. So I thought, this is an untapped market. I mean, people have played Night Road, which also won IXIs. But that's a World of Darkness thing. It's got a label to stand on, and this doesn't, which I think is part of it. But I also think that shouldn't stop content from being enjoyed just because it doesn't have a famous label. Things get labels because they're enjoyable, and that's what I want to do with this. And what you ask then is the story. What's the writing? What's the game? Well, it's sort of like Harry Potter without the magic, or a Swiss finishing school, but with a little jazz. You are sent after your parents have found financial ruin to an exclusive finishing school to redeem them, to find a partner, to marry into money, to get an awesome university acceptance letter, make a prestigious social network, a pristine report card, backstab people. Your year in the sparkling, brittle world is about to begin. But are you a rake soaked in scandal or a perfectly proper socialite? Sneaking out of class or polishing ballroom dancing? Either way, the road to high society starts here. Isn't that cool how I just worked in the Steam description there? Yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself for that. And as always, I am your host, L.A. Labuschagne. And as always, I am being joined. Today we're drinking a cooler, Tip Tinto R&R. For your international folks out there, R&R stands for rum and raspberry. And it's a key component of the other R&R, rest and relaxation. Namely, as getting pissed on soda and cane spirits is a great way to spend the afternoon, which is what I am doing. It's kind of hard to describe, but the red Smirnoff coolers? It's like that, but better. It's got that African flair, It's a national cocktail of Mozambique. Without further ado, Crème de la Crème by Hannah Powell-Smith. You can form romances or partnerships with some of the side characters, and they can have varied genders, male, female, and non-binary, on each playthrough. How would you like the genders to be set? So, I thought about this one for a while, but as far as I can tell, this will be legit the first playthrough of Crème de la Crème literally anywhere online. I mean, YouTube doesn't have this, Reddit doesn't have this, Dailymotion doesn't have this. Hell, I even asked /V and they didn't know what the fuck this game was. So, it's our first playthrough. Let's do what they recommend, these all square brackets, yeah? And randomize the genders of the variable side characters. Prologue. All aboard. We must take pride in our gentle resilience through adversity. From the philosophical considerations of Lady Françoise Renaud. Your mother calls to you through the throng. Come on, darling. You'll miss the train. You drag your trunk through the crowd of parents, noisy students, and various relatives and hangers-on. Few people but Galatian students take this train. Most of the people your age are dressed in the Gallatin College uniforms, just as you are. The platform is pure chaos. Thick steam billows from the engine, guards bellow commands and blow piercing whistles. From the road nearby, car horns blare out, younger siblings squeal, while students shriek and throw their arms around each other. "Excuse me!" Somebody behind you snaps and shoves past you for the train door. Right, that's our first decision. It's almost like this choose-your-own-adventure game or something. I really feel like they're taking my opinion into account and will affect the plot. It will actually do that, because you see in the first chapter, having played this before, that the prologue and chapter 1, whatever you choose, will actually influence your character stats. There's not going to be any opportunity in this game to, open up the character creator and tinker, assign points here, pick this feat, etc. No, it's all done through the dialogue choices. Like a real character creator. I know some of the choice of games titles have them, but I don't think the target market for this one exactly knows how those things work. So, what do we do? Well, LA, I say to myself, I enjoy playing evil characters. I think there's a dearth of content on picking the, quote-unquote immoral playthrough, so let's just be a prick. And furthermore, we're already being sent to some fancy-ass high school against our will here, so let's not take this lying down. No, we're going to big dick Gallatin College. We're going to go in fast, we're going hard, and we're going in loud. I shove them back with a sharp elbow. They stumble, but continue on their way. Damn it, I was hoping they were going to trip or something. But anyway, all you see of them is their back. They wear a Gallatin uniform, of course, and the back of their head is sleek and dark. They board the train without a second glance at you. Beside the door, your parents are waiting. Your father still has that gaunt, anxious look, while your mother has expertly applied her makeup to hide the tired expression that seems to stay, no matter how much sleep she gets. They've been that way ever since just after your 18th birthday. Well, it's good to know that my character is legal at least. I wonder if that will come up later. But it's been an eventful time. Several months ago, you were planning your debut, with nothing to worry about but your outfit and sparkling conversation. But with your parents' sudden fall into disrepute, all the money set aside for the debut was handed over to Gallatin College to cover your fees. Competing a year at one of West Ireland's most prestigious finishing schools could help restore the family name. Or so your parents think. You're untouched by all of this, your father told you. Graduating from Gallatin is an honor, and you'll make plenty of connections there who can give us a helping hand. You might even make a good marriage. In other words, your parents are depending on you to clear up their scandal. The train whistle blows, and your mother flags down a porter for your luggage. The porter tips her hat and begins to roll it aboard. Her hands feel rather empty without it, but your father pulls you into a tight hug. I'm sorry that things have been so difficult, he tells you. But please, do understand, enrolling at Gallatin is for your own good. And for our good too. His voice cracks. Your mother's expression is careful and smooth, but she presses a knuckle against her cheek to hide a tear. I'm feeling that most of the shit we're going to put up throughout this playthrough is actually going to be these guys' fault. And as somebody who's been prepared to cause cuck with this campaign, and cuck is South African for shit, I don't think we're going to be allowed to let this stand in good faith. So, of all the options here, I think there's only one we can pick. I want to make them feel guilty about ruining my life. The trembling voice, you say, "It's going to be hard." "Of course," says your mother, touching her arm. "But," you add, "I do understand, and I just hope I can make up for everything that's happened. That you've done." Goes unsaid, but hangs in the air. Your mother has to blink back tears, and your father looks stricken. "Look, we're both so sorry," he starts to say, but the carriage doors are slamming. It's time to embark. Your father straightens the collar of your coat. Now we pick the character's gender. I bounced this one back and forth quite a while before starting this, because frankly it doesn't actually matter what we pick. Because, see, 90% of the Choice of Games catalog will adjust the pronouns and scenes automatically for whatever gender you have. So, obviously it'll say like he, him, or it'll put your character in a suit if he's a dude, and, vice versa. And they do some pretty creative things with the non-binary characters as well. But with that, this also backfires because it means that some of the more historical stuff gets really anachronistic pretty fast. I mean, I've never seen Westerlin in a map or a history textbook, so I don't think we'll have a problem with that here, but it is something to keep in mind if you do play the other games in the catalogue. And so, what swings it for me is saying, well, we have to get a good marriage in this, or at least, the folks want us to. So I think because of that, maybe it's play to what we're given and say, I'm sure you'll do splendidly, he says. You're an excellent daughter. Let's marry up in the world. Even getting us accepted into Gallatin College was an achievement, especially after what happened with your parents. You remind yourself of that. Your mother looks away, blinking, before patting your shoulder. She looks older now than you've ever seen her. People always say how alike the two of you look, like her. And now we get more character creator. I really thought this was shorter when I, tested this out in my previous playthroughs of this. Like I said, this isn't blind. And I'm not exactly sure what to make my character here. I mean, on the one hand, I like to make it look like me, but then again, I just do what I do, and that's not necessarily going to be the most productive thing. This game doesn't have, like, a death date. You will play to the end of it no matter what you do. But on the other hand, like, this isn't a cell phone sort of thing. So, like her, I have a dark complexion. And although your mother's hair is greying, you both have hair that is naturally... Well, again, like I said, I don't think Papua New Guinea exactly exists alongside Westerlin, so let's say I have black hair. And it is tightly curled. All aboard, shouts a guard from the end of the platform. I give my parents a hug, even though I don't mean it. A quick hug. You smell your father's familiar cinnamon-scented cologne, feel the scratch of your mother's favorite cardigan, then you step aboard. Not sure why a cardigan is scratchy if it's her favorite. And these are pretty Larny types, so I'd expect at least cashmere from them. And cashmere, if you don't know, is a really nice type of Himalayan wool. It's super soft. I actually had a cardigan made out of it. I wore it till the elbow pads wore through, sewed new ones on and then did the same thing. Bloody nice thing. But in the carriage, students are pushing and waving, and yelling. You squeeze past the porters who are strapping down the luggage, and you find yourself in an empty compartment in which to settle while watching the sea of uniforms. You'll be wearing the Gallatin colours nearly every day for the coming college year, but your own uniform feels stiff and unfamiliar. It varies from student to student, although everyone wears a shirt and tie. Some wear red and grey checked skirts and dove grey sweaters, some wide-leg trousers. As for you, how do you present yourself? Well, gee, that's a pretty good question, actually. But given this world's kind of whack-ass fashion sense, I mean, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But given that we are going for, a badass, tomboy, trouble-raising type. I mean, we've had pretty manipulative so far, apart from that time we elbowed a random in the chest. It's, let's say, neither masculine nor feminine. We're not going to do like whole cloak and dagger thing, but going hard and loud. Hey, with smoke there's fire. Your ivory shirt gives you a clean-cut silhouette. Oh, that's nice. Current fashion leans towards intricate layers of fabric. You can't change your uniform much without being told off, but your grey coat sports the kind of layered skirts that many people wear, regardless of their gender. Okay? So, Westerlin is apparently in Scotland. I'm getting major Harry Potter vibes from this. Granted, I only saw one of the movies, but it's there, But you carefully hang your coat and blazer on a hook, making sure they don't crease, and smooth down your trousers. Through the window, your parents are waving, but you can hardly see them now amidst the crowd. The door swings. A pale, red-haired student your age with a worried expression props open the door with an elbow, while talking to a pair of harried, middle-aged-looking women. One of the women is carrying a baby. A small boy is tugging at the other woman's trousers, begging her to pick him up, From the conversation, women are the students' parents. That's another thing you'll notice about choice of games. Very, very LGBT friendly. So again, it's like historically implausible, but you know, Fantasyland, go for it. I'm fine, says the uniformed student. Honestly, I just need to find somewhere to sit. And look, here's somewhere. Goodbye. I'll write, I promise. His tone is rather frantic. Both women give him a hug and the little boy starts to wail. The student gives a despairing sigh. Go on, mother, mama. I'll be fine, he says. After a final family hug, Drew pushes past you to disembark. The student runs a hand over his severely parted auburn hair and sighs. This is right, isn't it? He says to you. We're not meant to be assigned compartments. I'm new this year. Don't want to make a mistake. His accent is markedly different to yours, and his shirt collar, unlike yours which is so stiff that it cuts into your neck, is wrinkled and ever so slightly grey. Second-hand, you suspect, or else washed without proper precautions. Do they not have stay-soft detergent in this world? Anyway, the student carries on talking without waiting for an answer. I'm Freddie. Freddie Crawford. Well, really, it's Frederick, but everyone calls me Freddie. Like a nerd. Okay. We're not being nice to this guy. I mean, I like the characters in this from, you know, a technical writing standpoint, but this dude is lame as hell. I know it brusquely. Freddie falters a little, and then starts unpacking books from a battered leather satchel, not asking your name. Tucks an errant strand of hair behind his ear. The summer reading was so interesting, he says. He touches the thickest book, The Philosophical Considerations of Lady Francoise Renaud, and the key text of Gallatin College. Did you enjoy it? Since Lady Renaud is the head teacher, it's not a surprise that she featured her own book in the summer reading. There's a doorstop of the tome, with the Gallatin crest embossed in gold in the cover, dealing with delicate topics of etiquette. So, as like the further side of as many minutes, etiquette textbooks don't actually suck in real life. I've read a couple, and they are helpful if you're doing formal stuff. You know, granted, especially if you live in Africa, formality, especially anything like pseudo-Western, really, it's whatever goes. Like, you can get away with pretty much anything. But, like, people recognize formal shit, even if it's, like, from wherever they're showing in, you know, James Bond and, like, Pretty Little Liars or whatever. People get that. And also, it's just a nice template of what to do in every situation. If you never don't do it properly, somebody understands, okay, you're being Lorny. That goes a long way. I mean, it's pretty useless when you're doing tequila shots, but then again, that's what the tequila is for. Manners and alcohol, they can get you anywhere you want to go. But did my character do the reading? I shrug. I didn't bother doing the reading, but I'll figure it out. Your parents did buy it for you, but it was far too dense for you to bother with. You'll pick it up once you arrive. You're sure? I was hoping we'd just get to learn more about the college history, Freddie is saying, and stops mid-flow to look up. Oh, what's that? Weighed down with a hockey stick, a lacrosse stick, and a trunk on wheels, the student is running down the platform toward your door. But a guard is already closing it. The whistle blows. The student yells, but the guard doesn't hear them. And the next guy is a nerd? Wait, no, Freddy's the nerd. This one's a jock. Fuck, that's not any better. I mean, say what you want about, you know, Poindexters, but trust me, people who get really good at sports are just sticking up to the man in a different way. And we're trying to stick it to the man. Big fucking difference. So, I call to the guard to confirm we're ready to go. We're all done in this carriage, you call out to the guard, tips her hat. Freddy looks uncertain, his gaze darting between you and the platform. But before he can intervene, the student pelts for the door and stumbles on board in the nick of time. They crash into your compartment with all their belongings. Thanks for the help, the newcomer says sarcastically. You wouldn't believe how bad the trains were. They fling themselves down and put their feet on a seat with a sigh. I'm Zoe Gonzalez, by the way, they say. New this year? Call me Gonzalez. Everyone does. Gonzalez's complexion is darker than Freddy's, though paler than yours. and where Freddy is scrupulously neat, Gonzalez wears their uniform with haphazard ease. The way they sweep their thick black hair from their face gives the impression of somebody entirely physically comfortable. Okay, we got like a Chad non-binary. Yeah, alright, work with this. So what do? Do I envy their confidence? Sign them to be a rival? Try and pry, or criticize their neatness? Well, okay, my character is no more needed than they are, so... I mean, on the one hand, I envy their confidence, while on the other hand, I'm pretty confident myself already. This person could be a rival. With a screech of metal on metal, the train rumbles into motion. Clouds of steam roll past, and Freddy snaps the window closed before returning to sit with the book on his lap. The movement of the train dislodges Gonzalez the cross stick. Gonzalez leaps up with an exclamation to shove it onto the shelf above you. Awful thing, they say cheerfully. I'm new too, Freddy volunteers. Final year. It's so strange to be going away from home. Gonzalez waves an airy hand. Oh, well, I was at Jeanneret International before I turned 18, they say, naming a staggeringly expensive boarding school on the southern edge of Westerland. So I'm used to being away from my parents. But it'll be nice to see some snow at Gallatin. Where are you? Freddy hesitates, leaving you to speak. Okay, another choice. I don't think this one affects the character anyway, but, let's see. So we've got Rachat's Academy, a boarding school focused on the arts. Barovian School, prestigious and academic day school, an accountant factory. Holtzfield School, highly religious day school. Okay, so we got like got Godbotherers. And we got Olmsted Valley School, a rural, isolated boarding school. Gee, these all suck. It's almost like they're schools or something. Well, there is no rebel like the pastor's kid. I know, I am one. In real life. So, we were at Holtzfield School, which is a highly religious day school. It feels so long ago now, even though you only graduated, 6 months ago. Your friends there have fallen out of touch. Compared to what you've read of Gallatin, Holtzfield's is far more strict. Of course, everyone at Gallatin must be on their best behavior. But there would be days at Holtzfield's where you had to sit in silent contemplation for hours at a time. And that was even before getting into the punishments. Hopefully you'll have more freedom at Gallatin College. You'll be away from the eagle eyes of your parents, at least. Frey looks as though this is the first time that homesickness has occurred to him. I went to Weybourne Secondary, he says. A beat. You've never heard of the place. You know of Weybourne, though. It's a downmarket part of Fenberg, the capital of Westerland. There would certainly be no boarding schools there. Probably no private schools at all. Ah, so it's Fantasyland's version of Mamelodi. That's like, the Weybourne of... Ah, so it's like Mamelodi, which is, the Weybourne of Pretoria. Oh, says Gonzalez, too brightly. So you're a scholarship student? Freddy scowls and folds his arms. Well, yeah, he growls, but I got in on merit. Unlike you, is the undertone. Gonzalez bristles. Excuse me? They start. The argument will only escalate if you don't step in. Well, I'm not going to step in then, dude. Okay, how do I do that? I smooth things over, trying to relax the atmosphere? No. I tell Gonzalez not to be insensitive? No. I tell Freddy he's being rude? No. Oh, so I just changed the subject, asking where Gonzalez is from? Shit, man, that's lame. Well, I mean, I haven't decided whether I'm more of a classist or a xenophobe in this playthrough yet, so, if I'm not allowed to start shit, I'm not going to pick sides either. I changed the subject slightly, asking where Gonzalez is from. Gonzalez rolls the eyes a little. I'm from Westerland, the same as you, they say, then relent. My parents are from Zaledo, but I was born here. They're diplomats or something. I never really got the hang of what they do. Zaledo is the closest neighbouring country to Westerland. Freddy lifts his head and ventures that he's always wanted to visit. You've never been yourself, but You've met plenty of Zaledoan people and seen paintings and photographs of dusty terracotta palaces in the middle of desert plains. Go in the winter time, Gonzalez advises. It's far too hot in the summer. You will have to lie around and do nothing because otherwise you'll just die. They dramatically reenact said death in the train seat, and Freddy laughs a little behind his hand. So it's Dubai. Shit. Then the moment of camaraderie fades, and the silence stretches out. Freddy leans forward on his elbows. What's your name anyway? It's a good question. I haven't decided yet. I mean, my character's 18 and they don't know. Kind of shit. Right, so we see we've got traditional feminine names, gender neutral, masculine, and custom. Well, let's see what girl names have to offer the girl. Serena, Aurora, Matilda. Okay, well, my character's already black, so, I mean, let's make them Nigerian. I'm not sure what the hell kind of world has Westerland, Zaledo, and Nigeria, but it is one I am prepared to play through. Yejide. And your surname? Adeyemi. I actually knew an Adeyemi back when I was in Nairobi. Fantastic artist. Nice to meet you, Yejide, Freddy says, and then returns to the perennial subject of Lady Renault's philosophical considerations. I made sure to reference it in my entrance essay. I wrote about her philanthropic work with families in poverty and how much of an inspiration it was. And obviously, she liked it. Your entrance essay must have been one of the latest to arrive. One afternoon, your parents sat you down to write 4 sides of paper about a time when you achieved something great before the evening post went out. At first, your mind went blank, but then you settled on. Okay, and now we do tag skills. This isn't like Fallout where you get like more experience. You just get the skill points. So, it's like Fallout New Vegas. Let's see, did we rescue somebody? The highest exam results? Unearth a con artist? Win a dressage competition? Be cast in the lead in the school play? Well, none of these are pretty badass, actually. Okay, rescuing a drowning guy is pretty badass, but it's a little goody two-shoes. But hey, let's say you owed us money. Walking along the boat path one summer's day, you didn't recognize what you were seeing at first. You thought it was a log or an animal. The man was a limp shape in the water, and you knew he didn't have long. And so you slipped off your shoes. You slipped off your shoes, dived in, and dragged him to safety. Of course, you didn't mention in your essay that you threw up on his boots, when horribly tongue-tied talking to the newspapers, failed to notice his dog also needed help, or were playing truant from school, and you got caught. Well, okay, I don't want to go hard and loud in this, but, at some points, you do actually have to care about the consequences of your actions. Granted, this isn't a game where you can die, no matter what stupid decisions you take, and trust me, I will take many. You do get to play through the end of the game. But, at the same time, I kind of want to complete goals and do cool stuff, so, you're not going to put intrigue as a weak skill. And I mean, flair sort of goes hand in hand with spirit. But then again, it's like, Yejide is not going to be a show-off. She's just going to have fun for herself. So let's say, you didn't mention in the essay that you were horribly tongue-tied talking to the newspapers. She's not good with people, is what I'm getting at. People from the papers flocked to interview you about your daring, but you could barely get the words out. It was terribly embarrassing, though you took comfort in the fact that you had saved somebody's life. And got paid, is what we're fanning here. You tell Freddy all about your accomplishment, minus the embarrassing part, and he hangs on every word. So, did you... he starts to say, and then the door slams. The scowling student stands in the doorway, flanked by a couple of friends. When you've finished bragging, said the student, maybe you should tell them about what your parents did, and see if they still think you're so great. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, after all. You recognize their voice. They are the one who pushed you earlier. Their black hair is swept back from their face perfectly, without a strand out of place. Their olive skin is enviably clear. Freddy and Gonzalez give you confused, nervous looks. Blaise Marshall, the newcomer says, though that explains everything. Go on, Yajide, Adeyemi. Tell them about your family. Blaze's eyes are dark and challenging. They have you, quite literally, backed into a corner. But your parents' disgrace is the whole reason you're here. So, we've got the Chad non-binary, and then we've got the Prep non-binary. Okay, so far so good. Let's see, what did they do? They embezzled money from the business. Gave me opportunities, but it got them in trouble. Alright? They gambled away nearly all their fortune, and the social circle knows. Or, they backed a corrupt candidate for Prime Minister, and worse, encouraged others to do so as well. On the one hand, because they're Nigerian, I want to make, the joke, oh, they embezzled money, they had a telephone scam. They, did the whole chain email thing. But then again, I have standards, so I'm just going to mention it and then say, pat myself in the back self-righteously, I'm not going to pick that one. No, they lost it in cards. When you were younger, the strangeness of your parents' lives felt normal. Didn't everyone's parents stay up all night and return after dawn, rejoicing about what they'd won? They would egg each other on, daring each other to make larger and larger bets, all for the thrill of the risk. It was only recently that you realized the extent of the problem. Returning home from school, you found your father pleading with a pair of stone-faced women in suits, who said their employer wanted the money. Now, in the end, he persuaded them to agree to an installment plan, but by that time, all your parents' friends knew what had happened, and they broke your father's kneecaps. To pay their debts, and pay for the surgery, they sold their house. Their former friends melted away, and the three of you moved to a small rented apartment in a less than desirable district of Edinburgh. Weyburn. The money that the Gallatin College fees came from was a trust set up by your great-grandmother. Could not be touched by the financiers. So how do I get my ass out of the fire? Do I explain quickly, saying it was none of my fault? Do I talk about it with genuine distress? Could I say my parents' actions were inexcusable, that I completely reject what they did? Or do I defend myself, saying that Blaze should mind their own business? Oh gosh, look at the time. I think maybe we can call it here for the first episode. Thanks for coming on. Like obligatory ending credits, blah blah blah. I've been, as always, L.A. Labuschagne. This has been Crème de la Crème by Hannah Powell Smith. Interactive fiction, you can get it on Steam. You can play the first episode free online if you want. I'm in for the ride. I'm going to do a full read-through of this quote-unquote book. I mean, it is on Goodreads. And we'll see where it takes us from there. Until next time, make sure your parents' actions aren't inexcusable, or else the preppy non-binaries are going to come for you next, baby. I may have gone too far in a few places.